for it to check off. And they are kept on that shelf out there right outside OR2. So when you are in CS, and Aaron's going to tell you about that this afternoon, but you will be prepared. This is basically like a case card. It has everything in it that you need for this case, and then in addition, the instruments. So, like I told you, what should I open first?
Towels.
We can do that, but is there a guide?
Bigger things. Larger.
Yes, larger items to smaller. So our drape is right here. This is our biggest item. And you'll have plenty of practice with the flowering open, and things are all different sizes. So again, don't just rip your tape off. You'll hold it secure down here at the bottom and then just lift right there along the line where it's attached. So once I get that done, take this, pull it all the way around, pull this around. I don't have a lot of room. I'm up here on this wall. So pull this around, turn this up. There we go. And pull this down. And then see my corner's kind of stuck, so I'm going to be careful. Look, my drape. Okay, so I thought I was seeing drape, but anyway, so then I'm just going to watch. I don't just reach back and pull it. I'm going to watch, make sure I'm not touching the drape or any part of it. Secure this so it's not going to get on the table, and then give it a toss. And Aaron is showing you real-time towel opening. Pretty much everything I've showed you has been in slow motion, but that's what it looks like. And the circulator and the tech are working at the same time. The only thing I would say is it's a little bit like bowling. If you're standing in such a way, usually let the person beside you go before you go. So if, you don't want to both be up here and then your stuff hit each other and fall off. So let's see, we got, we'll open this for the surgeon. This is a real, brand new gown from the manufacturer. Open that up, pull this out. There will always be a place for you to hide your thumb. So again, just open. See how I never go near the product? These are lap sponges. The ones I showed you the other day were wrapped in paper because they were brand new and they were from the manufacturer. So you're going to be
They're tricky little boogers.
yeah, they do like to roll. And you're going to be wrapping them around. When you're in CS, one of these ties holds it all together. So, and then you're able to wrap that way. Like I said, that's CS, but I'm just pointing out they do like to roll. So, so then what happens is this rolled off the table onto the floor, and we would just go get another pack and put that on there. Now, if your item lands right here in the floor, pick it up. Don't be like, oh, I'll get the circulator to pick it up or anything like that. You do, yeah. Now, if this is 12 inches from the wall and something falls behind and lands on the floor, yeah, leave it. It's not worth coming around the sterile field, digging your head around there to get that out. That'll just stay on the floor until the case is over. So, that's pretty much our flower items. Oh, okay. Look at this. This is the bowl. Yes. So here's one thing you really need to know. See how she's holding on to it? She is not sticking her hand in that bowl. She's always on the outside. Now you've got to cover your hand really well, and then you can just place it on there.
Don't pause that. So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So all of these kind of items like the bowl and stuff, when we're actually in the hospital setting, we're going to be opening these from the regular, like, manufacturer packages.
like the basic packs or the specialty packs or something like that. Yes, a lot of it could be on there, but not necessarily. A basic pack could just be the one I opened first, which was a couple gowns. Yeah, yeah, basically what you see right here, a Mayo stand cover, a couple gowns.
I meant like, they don't re-sterilize like
No.
this bowl thing. Is what
No.
I was asking.
No, they don't. So a lot of times the bowl could come in a standard pack or, you know, a specialty pack. But it's not uncommon to need to, you know, open up an extra bowl or something like that.
So even if we're opening it from like the manufacturer stuff, it's still gonna be wrapped in something that we have to flour.
It's either gonna be something you have to flour or something you have to flip. It could be wrapped in, this is a reprocessed, envelope, like that you're doing in the hospital. The hospital has these envelopes, they'll put it in there, autoclave it, put it on the shelf. Or it could come from the manufacturer pack, but it's either gonna be wrapped or peel packed, depending on what it is.
Linda, but you would be able to flip that bowl?
Flip the bowl.
I mean, okay, because I thought you said flip it just
No, you
now.
don't flip
Because
it,
I
no.
was like,
Flip
okay.
anything that's in the envelope.
Okay.
Anything that's floured is taken out.
Okay.
By flouring it. All right, so just like with your gloves, nothing needs to go over the edge. So every single thing you open, like I said, this is going to shape, it's kind of a rectangle. This is going to want to move around. Every opening is going to be different, but you're basically going to give it a flip like that. If you need to, you can, it doesn't look real good to throw, I don't want your technique to all the time be what I'm about to show you. But in some things that are a little bit more difficult, I don't have a problem with that. So you open this, make sure that it's not anything near the edge, and then sometimes you can just pop it up. So I just kind of threw it up in the air like that. As opposed to a lot of things we'll do more like the gloves where you know, you kind of have them project straight down. Raytex, that's the box that they come in. I think I showed you those the other day with the softs. All you have to do here is just pull them open like that and give them a toss.
Don't throw this away.
Yeah, don't throw that away because we'll re-glue those tops on it. We'll make new packs. Can you also get a yank out if you're going back there? Lots of glass. So that's exactly what has to happen when we drop something on the floor. We just open up the closet and get another. I have light handle covers here. And now I could start putting things in my basin, which is kind of nice when you're trying to get ready and you've got all these little bitty pieces all over your table. If you can get it in the basin, that's great. If you can't, hey. Not a big deal. So certain things you're going to have to get closer than others. That's a tricky one. The suction tubing will be the death of you. Especially if when in CS you don't put a rubber band around it the way that you should. Because it'll expand and it'll be over the edges before you even get the thing open.
Talk about that for you.
With our peel packs, they should open clean. But here, this has come off a little bit, mainly because it just is a little bit difficult for the manufacturer, but it also hasn't been cooked. So in the operating room in the hospital, the paper is more brittle, and it'll come apart much easier. So it's okay if that happens, but you are going to have things that when you try to open them, the paper's going to rip. So
So if the blue does this is okay, as long as your item is wrong.
But if I open something, and you've got another thing you need to know is, you gotta pull it, both sides, they're connected here. So kind of free that up. And then the key is to try to pull both sides evenly. If I'm just pulling down here and trying to open it, then I can't get it to rip. But anyway, a lot of times it will rip and the paper, and then it's contaminated. So, we wouldn't be able to use that. Now, if we did have something where, for whatever reason, it rips after I get it partially open, let's say it rips up here. Like that. But it kind of ripped while it was in my hand. If there's a way, now this is pretty hinky, but if there is a good solid way that you can keep that item at least an inch or more away from the rip and from the edge, then you could conceivably still use that. I wouldn't really make the risk for an ink pen. So I would probably just get another one. You're also going to have a suture. And again, a lot of these things can be put into your baby.
Blade.
So you've opened blades before because you practiced for checkoff 1. They can't flip. They're kind of sealed up in there. So you may do some leaning over the sterile field momentarily, but just don't make it too long and don't stand over here and open it. You also want to make sure you're staying back 12 to 18 inches from here. I don't want to be standing here and opening my items or holding any type of package over the field unnecessarily.
That reminded me, while we're practicing for our third checkup, a lot of our hands when we toss are close to the sterile field. Like we're all, like you know how classes do things together, we're all really close to the sterile field. Your hand has to be 12 to 18 inches when you're flipping.
No,
Okay.
it depends on the item. There's
Okay.
some things, there's no reason why you need to hang over the field to open a pack of towels. But there's some things that are a little bit more tedious, like the suction tubing, where you're gonna need to be, I mean, you still should open your package out here. But when you get ready to flip, you might get a little closer
Okay.
because it doesn't project very far or something like that. And you'll get a feel for that.
Okay.
All right.
That's the way you put right on the steel table, first keeping ice on.
So, yeah, we usually try to either tell each other if I'm flipping her blade, she's the tech, I'm gonna tell her, hey, your blade's on this end, or kind of keep the small stuff together is what I thought, you know, so there it's kind of safe.
Yeah, and that communication is, important. And, usually once one blade is flipped down there, if we have 2 or 3 other blades, we try to keep them all together. We don't have them, different parts of the table, because the first thing you're gonna do is come up here and start picking things up.
And don't drop them in the middle of the towels or something stupid, they'll put their handwriting, common sense.
When we are in the OR and we have gotten all these sterile items open onto the field and everything, and then we need to go scrub. Ray septic technique and everything needs to be kept within continuous view while we are scrubbing. Will there be a circulator in the OR to keep?
No, not necessarily, and that's the reason that they have windows.
Okay.
The whole point is that you're making sure nobody's in there, nothing's going on in there that you can't see. And every OR and scrub sink area has windows so the scrubber can see. Or I would say a way to visualize inside that OR without being there. And usually it's right there while you're scrubbing, you can keep your eye on the OR. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, it's kept within continuous view, but that doesn't mean like you have to stare at it.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
Had to
no.
have someone
Yes, I mean, good question. Sometimes the circulator's in there. What you're trying to avoid is, you know, setting up your room and then you leave and go on break for 15 minutes and then you come back and scrub or, you know, whatever. That's just not good practice.
I've noticed on the checkoff 3D sheet, and as well as Courtney said it this morning, is when you go to scrub and you come back, you need to close the OR door behind you.
Yes.
I know we didn't talk about that. No. We may have,
Something we
but-
haven't been doing in lab, but it needs to start.
Right, yeah. Is
Okay.
when you come back, close the door behind you.
Yes, the OR door should always be closed, always. So, I mean, in some facilities, if the OR is not being used, then they may have the door open, but even then, I mean, it's probably not the best idea. But once we start opening sterile supplies, absolutely that door is kept shut the whole time. And then, you know, people coming in and out, and that's why we try to reroute them through sub-sterile and get them to at least, you know, it's only another small room that has a closed door. So we just don't have free air flying back and forth from hallway or whatever. Courtney told me when at medical, that's like their big thing that they're really a stickler on at the moment. So she said it'll probably be something next week, something different. But right now, they're just like going crazy about stuff. Yeah. So, when Erin flipped her laps, this is how they landed. So, what do we need to do?
Get a new one.
Get a new one?
Well, it's hanging over the table now.
Yeah, but it's like right exactly at the 1 inch. But it's
Look at
exactly
here.
down 1 inch.
Well, you just opened, your cover, so that would be one of those, like, judgment calls.
I agree. For anybody else want to elaborate on getting rid of it?
I would, because it's within that 1 inch, and what if you touch it but it accidentally fall down? And then you should just take it off.
Oh, you're thinking maybe when you're sterile, you might knock it off?
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. I mean, even though it's within sterile area, I would just not having to have to re-scrub or going through a whole lot. I would get rid of it too and put a new one on there, just to
I wouldn't get
prevent
rid of it.
anything.
I would throw them back on the floor so they can use it to white up other things and then just put a new one on there. They can still be used for something else, not for.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of that is true. But here's the thing. In this case, to replace these, it's really not worth it. This table was just open and no one has touched it. If you're worried about it getting knocked off, you will learn as you go on. The first thing you do, if you have anything weird on your table, anything going on that you don't like, that's the first thing you do. Is you would walk up here, pick it up, and put it towards the middle so you don't knock it off. And we'll talk about this. This is, you know, another one of those big things and ideas. But you may conceivably have contaminated areas on your table. And so if you do, then you're gonna have to come in and the very first thing you do is fix it. If you don't do it first, then you're gonna start moving your stuff around and you're gonna contaminate all your stuff. So we'll talk more about that in just a little bit, but there are certain things that happen and we don't scrap $8,000 worth of supplies just because, you know, something slid over the edge or bounced even on my scrubs and then went on, ever how that would happen, on my table. We would rectify that area of the table, fix that. So that's a big part of this checkoff is the judgment that we're gonna make.
Here, I was just gonna say, if this was the case, then I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But, no.
Yeah, this is too far. So if we have this, then it's still only halfway down or so, but we don't know, this, again, the whole reason we have our boundaries, we don't know, did we drag it on the table a little bit as we were pulling it out? Did it end up using more than just the 1 inch? Is it somewhere around here? That kind of thing. This is like we shouldn't use that. That's too far below. Even if we know nothing's touched it, because we're saying we know, like nobody's brushed up against it, but we don't know everything about that far down, especially since the way we open the table.
So would the best way to then, if it was like that, to get rid of that, while we're still unsterile, to come up and grab like the string and just
Yeah.
drop them?
Don't approach a sterile field when you're not sterile.
Yeah. So in this case, we are definitely not going to cross contaminated and sterile. So the way you fix these types of things is, this is the part we're unsure about. This part is on the table and it is sterile. So once you get your go scrub, put your gown and gloves on, the first thing that you would do is pick up the sterile part with my gloves on and just take it over here, throw it somewhere, and do what Cindy's going to do and clean the floor with it. In some cases, if nobody's around, you're busy. In some small cases, not all, don't get into this practice. You don't just flip stuff off your table, this is contaminated, so is that, hey, you get me? Because a lot of people do that kind of thing. They'll just flip it off and, there's certain ways that things will lay that there may be. You just don't want to touch it and you're saving time. So, kind of giving it a shove might be okay in some cases, especially if the wall is right here and the yank hour is hanging over, or this is hanging over here. Yeah, perfect. This is here and she's the wall. See, the yank hour is there. I'm not going to take this that, who knows, might even touch the wall for all I know. I'm okay to touch this part, but I'm not going to take this over the field. There's no need. I can just knock it off. It can lay over there against the wall until the case is over.
But don't generally do this, 'cause this is just rude. And
Yeah.
stupid. Okay? Don't be rude. Or stupid.
Okay. We have everything open? Okay. So everything looks good. There's going to be, in our surgery, there's going to be probably some, not in your fourth checkoff, but there may be some other special type of equipment, a stapler or something like that, that might be on the preference card. But they come in, can you show them a package of some weird stuff? And so we sometimes, if it doesn't easily flip out, then we'll just save it over there on the nurse's station, and then when I'm scrubbed and she's ready, she'll peel pack it open, and then I'll reach in and pull it out. Because sometimes it's in that hard plastic, it's kind of clamped down in there. So the next thing I'm going to do, doesn't matter which, actually it matters more to do with how I'm going to set this up. I think I'm going to put this over here, maybe? I'm trying to think of a good place for my instruments. That kind of works. This thing Erin has in her hand is a good example of a specialty type piece of equipment. And so the way that we would do that is, see, it's kind of wedged in there. You can't flip this. So the circulator would pull it out, and then the sterile person would reach in there and grab it. See, I think, it's not coming out. So circulator, that's probably what these are for fingers to come in and pull. Like that, and you just hold it down and pop it out. But special equipment also that comes in these types of containers, many times are going to be pretty expensive. And so sometimes we hold on to those too, just to make sure that's something he wants to use. What do you think about my instruments over there? The next thing I'm going to do is, like I said, well, I'll go ahead and open my gown. I lost my gown. So I'm going to open my gown and gloves. Another thing, when you are doing your fourth checkoff, this is a timed 20-minute thing. In some cases, you'll set up in literally like 7 or 8 minutes, if, you know, it's that quick. But here, what you can do in your 20-minute timed checkoff is, once you've opened enough things, because this is the way it works in the operating room, we're working together, we're opening this case quickly, and so once you get a few things open, many times you can ask, or the circulator will say, why don't you go ahead and scrub, and I'll open the rest of this stuff. So it's also a good way, I mean, obviously in the hospital, a good way to save time. It's also a good way to save time on your checkoff. So we pretty much require you open the hard stuff, the Bovie, the suction, asepto, and a few small things, and you're going to flour open a couple things. But after that, you know, open your gown, show us that you know how, and also open your instruments, and then you can go. Yeah.
During the 20-minute checkup, I know that during loving and gowning tomorrow, you're gonna play the circulator tying us up, right? For the
Yes.
gown. During the 20-minute checkoff, are we gonna partner with somebody else for that, or
No.
are you or Aaron gonna play
Yeah.
the circulator for that as well?
Yes, one of us will
Okay.
play the circulator, and one will be the surgeon.
Okay.
Because this involves a surgeon, this
Okay.
checkup. So, yeah, so that's how that goes. Aaron, you know, or I will help you open your equipment. If we drop something on the floor, we'll replace it. If you drop something on the floor, you'll see how it works. If the closet's over here and Aaron's over there and she drops it, I see it. She doesn't need to shimmy by me and get over there to the closet. I see she needs another whatever. Then I'll just go open it up, flip it open. We just keep moving. The whole goal is to get all this stuff on the table quickly. Somebody over here had a question? Okay. So, let's see. Gown, gloves. The next thing I'm gonna do is open my instruments. So I kind of showed you this a little bit the other day, but the big thing is we're gonna make sure that we don't lean over these instruments. Another thing we're not gonna do, this has been sitting on the shelf. It may have been sitting there a week. I'm not gonna pick this up. I told you we have to look at the filter. I'm not gonna pick this up and then dump all the dust that was on the shelf into my instruments. So what you're gonna do, it has the outer basket. They used to call it the basket and the casket. This was the casket. The basket's inside. But then people were like, hey, where's the casket? You know, stuff like that. And people were freaking out. Patients were. So you're not allowed to call it a casket anymore.
That would be the instrument.
Yeah. But anyway, the basket is the part that's sterile inside, and it has little handles, and you can pick it up and bring it over here to your sterile table. All of this, obviously, is sitting on the shelf, and it's not sterile. So I'm gonna lift this up and step away. 12 to 18 inches at least. 2 feet or more is even better. I'm gonna turn this over, look for this, and then I'm gonna get rid of this wherever. If I'm in the operating room, you know, I may just put it on a shelf or something like that. The next thing I'm doing is I come in here and I look at my instruments, and I do see, like I mentioned the other day, that there is a pass on there. A little indicator that says that it has been through the autoclave and it has been exposed to certain conditions. And we talk about all the sterilization part later. But the thing that you're looking for is something that says pass. So if you opened this up and there was no sheet in there, there's no indicator, then you already know before you go scrub that you don't want to use this tray. We need another one. Yes?
You told us last time that we would look at the filter, but we didn't talk about it at all.
Yes, and we won't until sterilization. Right now, I just want you to know there is a filter.
Okay.
Right.
You're not looking for anything in particular.
Okay.
Just notice that there is one. That looks good. I got all my stuff I need. I got my gown and gloves. My gloves aren't hinky. It's within 1 inch of the thing. And I'm gonna go wet my hands. And that's what you're gonna do in your 20-minute checkoff as well.
Except you will actually scrub.
Scrub.
And see, the reason I didn't want my instruments, here is because I gotta get through here and kind of navigate. And sometimes you will, especially like what we talked about, when there's, 7 or 8 stacks of trays that need to be open or that are all on ring stands. In your orthopedic surgeries, it's not uncommon to have maybe at least 8 ring stands full of instruments, and they're all open everywhere. So I gotta be somewhere while I'm dripping that I can get dressed. Like I told you, a lot of times there's not a whole lot of room. So I've got to be careful about everything around me. Now I'm ready. See, I go towards the sterile, she goes towards the non-sterile. I'm ready to come over here and set up my table. Let's say that I'm going to be working off of this side of the table. My patient is here, and I'm going to be on that side of the patient. So the first thing I'm going to think about is, everything that's going to be taken off my table, like my drapes, things like that. I'm not going to have them there. I'm not going to want them right here where I'm going to be working, because I'm going to be setting up my work area. So, touching minimally, and